Hi, and welcome to our second episode of Mantis Hunt. And this one's a doozy. For those of you with weak stomachs, you've been warned. In this episode, we're taking a look at mantis cannibalism. Just to let you know, these videos have all been played back at 8 times speed. First off, I want you all to note that if you pay attention and look carefully throughout the video, you can actually see the mantis's abdomen growing as it eats its siblings. These are first instars, and it blew my mind that such a young mantis was able to eat its entire body mass in one sitting. This first example of cannibalistic mantis is a European mantis. This surprised me, aside from it being the first case of mantis-on-mantis violence I had viewed, because the European mantis is traditionally not as aggressive as the Chinese mantis, yet it is the European that was my first experience with mantises eating one another. What I find hilarious with a mantis eating is that when they eat the legs, it reminds me halfway between eating licorice sticks and sucking up long strands of spaghetti. As I said before, the video footage is sped up about 8 times, but you can almost hear it slurping down that long leg. In our next example, there are 2 Chinese mantises that are staying in a communal cage. They are also first instars, and the reason they're in a communal cage is that I underestimated a few things. Cups, netting, space, and the sheer number of mantises hatching. A word of advice, if you're hatching mantises, estimate supplies, space, etc., and then double it, at least. In this case, one of the 2 mantises got a better grip on the other, and that was it. I think it's just brutal the way mantises begin eating as soon as they catch their prey. They usually eat in a manner to incapacitate. Wings, powerful legs, and heads are often targeted first. Here, the mantis simply bites his victim in half. As I mentioned, it was in a communal cage. It was about 3 days after hatching. If you don't want your mantis population cut in half every day or so, get them into individual cups as soon as you can. Even though the winner, in this case, known as the diner, was enjoying his victory, also known as lunch, it doesn't stop other mantises from trying to get in on the action. When another mantis approaches, the diner first watches him warily. Then, deciding that the new guy is getting a little too close, lunges at him, throwing one of the legs. Then something hilarious happened. The challenger assesses the situation, regroups, and seemingly after a moment's pause to think about the circumstances, does something very funny. He looks right up at the camera, almost to say, "Do you believe this guy?" And then, BAM! The diner slams the other leg right upside the guy's head. I guess that was enough for the challenger, because he left after that. For our third encounter, 2 freshly molted second instar Chinese mantises are having a go at it. Since they've just molted, the mantis's skin hasn't fully hardened and darkened yet, and this makes for a very interesting sight. You can actually see the food moving through its insides and filling up its stomach. I have to say I am still amazed that mantises are able to eat something the same size as they are. In our last example, I had just finished feeding the first course of fruit flies and was starting on the second. I picked up this cup, which contained 2 Chinese mantises, due to overcrowding, instars L2 and L3. I watched as the third instar ate the last bit of its fly when the second instar approached the third. And to my horror, just as it finished the fly, it grabbed and began eating the smaller mantis. Brutal. What freaked me out about this was how the mantis was eating. After biting the victim in half, he began eating the thorax, or the middle part of the mantis, from the bottom up, eventually just leaving the head. So here I am, watching the mantis look into its meal's eyes of its decapitated head. That's just stone cold vicious.
Well, that was something. For those of you who stayed to the end, thank you. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Mantis On.